Yo, it's Lit Book
Yo.
Reviews. Here for another one. This is the podcast where we discuss all things books. And today we're going to do a special, fun, hopefully enjoyable video where we discuss the books we're excited about for next year. So 2023 is coming to a close, and we will have a video kind of wrapping up our year in books. But we wanted to go ahead and talk about what we're excited for in 2024. So we've both got a little short list here that we're going to discuss. And since this year was the beginning of our channel, 2024 is going to be the first full year in the channel where we get to like plan stuff out and have a full year, straight with the channel. So I'm excited for that. How about you, my co-host Reggie Bush? I'm LaDainian Tomlinson. What do you think about that?
Shout out LT, dude. What a guy. Dude, how many books do you think we're gonna read next year?
I'm probably going to end up at like 45, 47 maybe at most if I crank a few out at the end of the year. But
no, I'm talking about for next year.
I'd like to get more done. Well, I'm just basing it off this year. I mean,
okay.
I'd like to get more done, but I don't know how much more because,
depends on what we're reading.
You only have so much time, and it definitely depends on what we're reading. Like, I definitely want to read more history that I didn't get to this year, and those books a lot of the time take a lot longer. They're just take more time to get through, but I'd like to be able to hit 50. I mean, I'm nowhere close to what I hit in 2020. So we'll slowly grind back towards that, but yeah about 50 would be nice.
I'm hoping we definitely hit over 50 just for like content purposes, because we have such a backlog too of just catching up on all the like most popular series. So that, because dude, I've just been watching some videos of people like breaking down their favorite books from 2023 that like were books that came out in 2023, and dude, we've only read one.
Really?
We've read,
which one is that?
Blood Over Brighthaven.
Yeah, we didn't really read a lot of stuff that actually came out this year.
Well, I read that Brendan McClellan book too. I forgot the dude, I don't even remember the name of it, dude. It was just okay. You know what I'm talking about? That broken glass trilogy or something is what it's called.
In the Shadow of Lightning?
Yeah.
Okay,
God, you got a memory on you. But anyway, because we were still like so focused on backlog stuff, not that, I mean, I don't know. There's just, I feel like a lot of stuff that it's tougher for us to stay like on top of things, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and I mean, it also
kind of closed the gap.
Yeah, I mean, we also suffered. I mean, this is anybody, because nobody just starts a booktube channel without already having been a reader for some period of time. But there's a lot of books that we love that we just didn't get to hit because we weren't doing the channel. And then there's a lot of stuff that is just like foundational in some, regard, like the Stormlight stuff, all the Sanderson stuff we've been reading is, hugely widely popular, and we love those books. So we obviously wanted to do a lot of that, but I'm hoping we have a good mix next year of not that we would ever read books that we straight up don't want to read, but I hope we are able to figure out a way to have a nice mix of like books and videos that are like really meant to like push the channel forward, and then just, especially with the history I read sometimes, then just some stuff that we just would naturally read anyway, to kind of diversify it in that way. So, which I think we'll be able to do.
Yeah, me too.
There's just so much. I mean, it's crazy to think of how many books I want to read and then try to narrow it down to 50. Like, it would be really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why we just need everybody who's watching this right now to subscribe so we have more time to read.
Yeah, more subs and more time we have. If we can
just quit our jobs, that would just be really helpful in the process, I think, of just only reading. I mean, I just can't imagine, dude. I can't wait to either retire or, figure out a way where we can make this work. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where we're at, like literally this time next year, and like what we've read. Because, dude, obviously the Cosmere has been huge for us this year of like just talking points and videos. So I'm curious. I mean, obviously we have a big release this next year, so I'm sure it'll like continue. But anyway, there's just some other series that I think might take the forefront for a little while we're waiting on content from the Cosmere. So I'm excited to kind of see how that goes.
Yeah, we've got some exciting stuff. So,
want to get into it?
I'm really looking forward to it. But so I have like a list of 7 here. Do you want to start with one of yours?
Well, I figured you just rip through your 7, because we can just share our screen, huh?
Oh yeah, sure. If you want to do it that way, yeah. All
Do you
right,
have
cool.
tabs? Like,
Yeah, I got them open.
okay, same.
Um,
So you can go first if you want.
Sick. All right, cool. I'll start off. So my first one is not a book that is new by any means, but it is one that I'm really looking forward to for a couple reasons. Mainly the author, and also because I want to read about the subject. So it's American Lion, Andrew Jackson in the White House. This is by John Meacham. Doesn't have a great score on
Yeah,
Goodreads.
just
It's got
yeah.
52,000 ratings with a 3.85 overall. But that doesn't sway me a bit, man. I really like John Meacham. I'd really like to, I'm trying to go through the founding fathers, so this won't be early in the year because I'm on James Madison next, the fourth president, and old Jackson was the seventh. So at some point this year, I'm looking forward to reading this, mostly because of who wrote it. This did come out in 2008, so it's by no means a new book, but it's one I'm specifically looking forward to.
Would you
Next
consider
up,
him a
I've
founding
got,
father?
yeah, he's considered one of them. I mean, he was
Really?
around, and I think the first like 7 presidents are all considered like
Okay.
founding father presidents. I could be wrong on that.
No, I just yeah.
But just because they're early in the era, I think they're considered that. So yeah, next up is The Shadow of Socrates, the heresy, war, and treachery behind the trial of Socrates. So this is just about the mystery of Socrates' murder. I've never seen anything from this author. As a matter of fact, when you go to his page on Goodreads, there's nothing there other than this book. But this does come out in 2024, and just this whole era, I like the Roman history and anything kind of around that, or similar to that. So these are always fun reads. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know,
Looks like a
again, don't know
quicker read
anything about
too.
this author. Yeah, it looks like it's only 320 on the page count, and it comes out in February. So hopefully this will be an early year one that we can knock out, and hopefully it's good. I don't know, something about this cover just makes it really look good to me. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So that's the second one on my list. Next we have The Wide Wide Sea, Imperial Ambition, First Contact, and the Fateful Final Voyage of Captain James Cook. So this is by Hampton Sides. He wrote a couple of books I've read. One called On Desperate Ground about North Korea and some American soldiers during that war. Another one called Hellhound on His Trail, kind of about the last chapter of Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and the guy who ended up assassinating him. Really, really good author, pretty well known. So I'm sure this book will be widely popular next year. But yeah, about Captain James Cook, I don't really know anything about him. I've seen him mentioned in other things, but I don't really know too much. And it's a great author, so looking forward to that in April of next year.
Tell me how someone's already currently reading that book.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be either a troll or somebody just got
Yeah,
like the
classic
early
Goodreads.
advanced copy or something like
True,
that.
true, true.
Who knows? But I
I
feel
love it
like
where
when you
you're
get an
going to
advanced
continue
copy,
the. No, keep going.
huh?
Sorry. Advanced copy. What?
Well, I would think that if you get an advanced copy of something, you're not really supposed to talk about it. But what were you
Yeah.
saying?
No, I just like that you were continuing the wager theme. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, got to throw another, something happening out on the
Something
old
on the high
dangerous sea,
seas.
on them high seas, buddy. So yeah, looking forward to that. Great author. Next up is one called Foundryside. Now this book has been out since 2018, but it is a like fantasy book. It's in something called the Founders Trilogy, and just kind of, I'm not going to read it now, but reading the little blurb about it, and then again just looking at the cover. I mean, I'm a sucker for a good cover, so I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to this one. We're both
Dude,
planning
and
on reading this at some point.
there's just something too about. I mean, I feel like this trope is. I don't want to say it's getting close to being overdone, but it really is. But I mean, the girl that's a thief trope. You
Yeah,
know, who's
yeah,
like we're cheering for her though because she's going against I don't know some
yeah.
corrupt
It's kind of
system.
like a Robin Hood vibe almost.
Yeah, I mean, I am a sucker for that trope. I wonder how many more times though I can read it because when I'm really thinking about it, it is a very popular trope. I mean, I still really like it,
Yeah,
so I have nothing bad to say about it. But
yeah,
I wonder if that's just kind of a theme right now worth where fantasy's at. But yeah, I'm hyped for this one too.
yeah. And I mean, it's got almost 40,000 ratings and a
Yeah.
4.19 overall. So got a Goodreads Choice Award in
What? How many
2018.
books
So,
are in that? And when have they? Is there one
uh,
that's come out recently? If you click that top, if
yeah.
you scroll up
So
and click that. Yeah.
Book 2, 2020. Looks like book 3 came out in. Oh wait, no, that's not right. Oh yeah, it is. Book 3 came out in
2022.
2022.
So it's
So
finished though.
yeah, look, yeah, it's
Okay. I
it's the
like
Founders
that. I like
trilogy.
a
So
good finished trilogy too.
yeah, so
That way you don't
looking
have
forward to
to.
that. Haven't really seen anybody talk about that one, so I'm looking forward to getting into that. Speaking of something else that nobody will be talking about in the booktube world, this actually just came out this year. This is On Great Fields: The Life and Unlikely Heroism of Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain. So essentially, he's in the Union Army during the Civil War. Obviously, you can tell that alone just by his uniform. But Ronald C. White Jr. Has written a couple of my top 15 favorite books, probably still at this point in my top 3 uh, favorite books of all time. American Ulysses was written by Ronald C. White Jr., if not my favorite book of all time. It's just so well written, and Grant's fascinating to read about. But yeah, so he's a great author. He's got a couple on Lincoln that I've read that are really good. So he's just kind of a master historian in the era of the Civil War, which is always, there's just so much good stuff to read about during that time, so much
Yeah.
fascinating history. So really looking forward to that. I've never even I've
I've
seen
never heard
this
of this
guy's
guy at all.
name. Yeah, like I've seen his name, I know, in other books in the Civil War era, but it's like a footnote or like a brief like interaction. So having a whole 500-page book on this guy will be interesting. There's something about the obscure characters and events in history that if they're done right, they can
Yeah.
be some of the best books.
For sure. They make the really good
So
adaptations too normally.
yeah, that's a very good point. So yeah, looking forward to that. Ronald C. White Jr. On Great Fields. Next up is my last 3 here are all nonfiction and history. Next up is one that's coming
Oh
out
yeah.
next year.
We'll definitely have to
Um,
read this.
yeah, for sure. Next year, Erik Larson is dropping his next one. This will be in April, the end of April next year. The Demon of Unrest, a saga of hubris, I should say, heartbreak and heroism at the dawn of the Civil War. So Lincoln's involved with this, just kind of all the happenings right at the Civil War, as it says. Erik Larson, is best known for The Devil in the White City, which is late 1800s. And then he's got, some World War One stuff, World War Two stuff. But I don't think he's written anything. He definitely hasn't written anything recently that's in the Civil War era.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see his writing in this era again. Another Civil War one. I mean,
Dang, 608
Erik Larson's a
pages?
champ. Yeah,
Is
that's the
this
other
gonna
thing,
be
man.
his
I think this
biggest
is his
book?
longest book. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, Erik Larson. If you don't know him, you're missing out. Go ahead and read The Devil in the White
Oh
City. It's
man.
not a long
Dead
read.
Wake is
And
so good too. I
Dead
still haven't
Wake,
read
yeah,
Devil in the High Seat. I need to read that one.
yeah.
Garden of the
But
Beast is
really, you
good
could pick
too.
up just about any of his, and you're going to be satisfied if you're into nonfiction at all. Even if you
Oh, and if
aren't, he
you're
writes like
yeah,
a novel.
if you're trying to read something that's not nonfiction, especially or if you've never read nonfiction but you're trying to get into it, his take on it is just so,
Yeah,
like you've said before. I mean, it's not
it's just
boring
not
at
the
all. It's not
same.
like a
No.
textbook. It literally is like you're reading a story.
Yeah, and the best, historians and historic authors make it that way. He's just really good at it, and it's become widely
Mm,
popular. So, The Demon of Unrest, April 2024. Erik Larson, looking forward to it. It's already got a 4.33 with 3 ratings,
shout
so
out.
good signs. Shout out. So last on the list for me is book 3 in the History of Rome trilogy by Tom Holland. The first one is called Rubicon. The second one is called Dynasty. And this third one that just came out this year in September is called Pax, War and Peace in Rome's Golden Age. So really looking forward to this one. Again, one of my probably top 5 favorite books. It's kind of fluctuates and changes that top tier list as you read more stuff. But I think Rubicon, if it wasn't in our top 10 video when we made it, I feel like it's got to be in my top 5.
I
I
think it
know it's in my
was,
top
or at least
10.
some mentions or honorable mentions. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rubicon was so good. Dynasty was great too, but Rubicon was the first one that exposed me to Tom Holland, and I loved it. If you want to read stuff about Rome, this has got to be the go-to. I know Mary Beard, a lot of her stuff is really popular, but I think Tom Holland's got it on her as far as just the engaging writing. So I already have
Yeah.
this one. Looking forward to getting into it.
It's
If
just
you're
impressive
again,
how he's able to do so much too. I mean, him filming Spider-Man and like
It's
writing these books like this, it is
it's
insane.
crazy, man. I mean, Zendaya, Spider-Man, the
Yep.
History of Rome trilogy. He's got a lot on his plate.
I think he dedicated this one to Zendaya, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he may have. He may have. I think the first one was dedicated to Tobey Maguire,
That's
who
who.
we looked
Yeah.
up to so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're looking to read a really entertaining, engaging book on uh, the history of Rome, I would start with Rubicon. If you like it, read Dynasty next, and then maybe by then I'll be reading Pax, and we can read it together. It's not a trilogy necessarily in chronological order to a complete degree. Both the first books kind of covered similar things, but the second one just went further down the timeline and in more detail. So I imagine this one will be somewhat similar, where you're kind of getting some of the similar stuff, but just different perspectives and different events and players. But yeah, so those are not
And to all
necessarily
the
my
guys
top
out there
seven.
too, this would just really help have more information to draw on from that weekly,
Yeah,
potentially
yeah,
bi-weekly, you know,
yeah. Whenever you're
just
thinking
recurrence
around,
when you're thinking about the Roman Empire.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because we
So,
all know we do it on a regular basis. So this is just going to help formulate those thoughts.
Yep,
And you want to keep those going. It's really good for your testosterone levels and things like that. So
exactly.
keep it up with Tom Holland. And yeah, so like I said, not necessarily my top seven most anticipated books, but just the ones that kind of popped out to me initially
Yeah.
upon thinking about this. So a lot of history, but I'm excited for some fantasy too. I withheld mentioning some of them because I just knew they would come up at some point. So
Oh yeah.
on to you, brother. What are you excited to read next year?
Yeah. So,
Oh, let me go ahead and
yeah, you got nothing to share. Dude, I'm so hyped for this next year just because, I mean, like thinking about how late we started into this year and how much we've been able to, that's why I'm hyped for us to do a video reviewing like what we've read, because I feel like it's easy to just kind of overthink like all the things that we've read and reviewed on the channel just because it feels like it
yeah,
hasn't been that long. And then it's like, oh, wait, we have 40 videos already. But anyway, I'm just hyped to see the trajectory of next year. And I think like a lot of the stuff that um, we're going to be able to like review will just kind of help just formulate more things. But
yeah,
obviously, the one that I feel like both of us, like I know you love nonfiction and we know all that, but I
sure,
mean, I don't know anyone. The only people that aren't excited about this book are people who just haven't yet to like pick up the Stormlight Archive, and that's a
yeah.
shame on them. But if in case you've been living under a rock, like and you're on BookTube still, Knights of Wind and Truth. I don't think there's a release date yet, but I think it's like sometime November-ish, right? If I'm not mistaken, later
That's the
fall of
last I heard. Yeah,
2024.
yeah,
So last video I saw, Sanderson was 88% done. But I mean, I guess this isn't a spoiler if no one's ever read any of them, but I mean, Zeth is the background character, so that's all
yeah,
you really need to know to really
yeah,
get you involved in this. And obviously, if you're caught up in the Cosmere slash Stormlight Archive, then I mean, we
yeah.
were left on the ultimate cliffhanger. So this book
Right.
is going to be huge. Hopefully, dude, we can make it out to old Utah for old
Yeah,
Dragon Steel
that's the
Conference.
plan. And if we do, we'll
So,
definitely have to kind of vlog some of it and post a little
oh,
vid for the chat. And by the
for
way, if
sure.
you are hype about this book, the prologue and some of the
Oh
chapters, a
yeah,
rough draft
good
of them
call
have
out.
been released. And we did do a video covering just the uh release portion
Prologue.
of the prologue. So go check that out. But yeah, I'm so excited for this, man. I mean, by far my favorite series of all time at this point in my life is the Stormlight Archive. So if there was
Mm-hmm.
one book, like if I could only read one book next year that actually drops next year, it actually would
Yeah.
be this one, like without a doubt. It
Yeah.
would not take me a second to decide. So I'm very excited to
I'm
read
glad
this.
for some like finality because I know there's 10 books, but we talked about this before, but it seems to be this is going to be like a breaking point in
Yeah.
Stormlight where it's like these five and then the next five. So, I mean, I'm
Right.
expecting some deep cuts in this.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
I'm expecting things
absolutely
to really
monumental
happen.
cuts.
Yeah.
So, like we've said before, we should probably take a moment right now just to pray for Brandon himself because we need this to come out. So, we all should be praying for his
Need it
health.
badly.
So, Brandon, if you're somehow watching this, dude, please, please, we need you
Please.
alive.
Hang on.
All right, second book. How was that not preloaded? I talked about
Mm,
Empire of the Vampire on like our, I think, top 10 books, which I think this may have snuck in my top 10, and I don't
it
know. I
did.
mean,
Yeah, this was in here,
I
the first one.
I
Yeah,
think it still probably should be in there, but I would have to look, and I sometimes just can't tell with like recency bias. But I mean, I read this. I don't know if I read this last year. I may have read it like this
pretty sure.
time.
Yeah,
Did I
I
read
thought
it
it was.
last year or this year or last year?
I thought it was this year, but it should say
It
on
may
there
have been this
somewhere.
year. I mean, I'm not going to depend on Goodreads for this because it's.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it doesn't even show. Well, never mind. It's the first one. But anyway, dude, it's showing here too. If you go on to Goodreads, you have 5 days. I've entered a giveaway to receive a free copy of Empire of the Damned.
oh
So
wow, I'm gonna have to hop
this
in on
will
that.
exactly. But anyway, this was my first Jay Kristoff book, Empire of the Vampire. That is,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so good. I'd heard like a lot of iffy things about him, so I was glad that I gave it a chance.
Yeah,
But anyway, if you like vampires, I think it's really well done. It's very dark.
yeah,
It's not. I was expecting more. I mean, it's definitely not like YA. It's very grim, dark, very horror, and it makes vampires look really cool. We haven't read what's Jake's favorite book? Name of the Wind.
mm-hmm.
But it is a first person like retelling story, so that was like interesting. It was one of the first like fantasy books that I've read that is first person. So,
Right.
definitely like keep a mind out for that. But anyway, I'm hyped
Yeah, I'm excited to read
to
this
see
first
this.
one.
Yeah,
And
I'll
then
have to reread it
read this.
honestly.
Yeah,
But anyway, this comes out February, so not too long. I know a lot of people have already gotten copies. Like I'm pretty sure Mike's
yeah. There's
already
already
been reading it.
177 ratings. I mean, for a
Yeah.
book that doesn't come out for 2 months, three
Yeah.
months.
Shout out to Mike for already getting a copy.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, third book. And I mean,
Yes.
I've tried to look and see, and I'm pretty confident this is coming out. I know, John had an absolute tragedy happen, and I think that's kind of like hindered some of the writing process, which I mean, I can only understand.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
have read The Shadow of the Gods and the Hunger Gods, I mean, very recently. So this is very
Mm-hmm.
front of mind for us.
Yep.
And great series by John Gwynne. So if you haven't read it, I mean, we would definitely recommend it. But the third book, I saw where you can pre-order it already on Amazon. So it's supposed to come out in August of next year. So definitely interested to see. I guess are we sure if this is? I mean, if this is a trilogy, it's the Bloodsworn
It's
saga. So
called
I
the
guess
Saga, so I mean, I feel
could be
like,
four.
yeah, I feel like he might go for the four again,
So
for
he
the
did, yeah,
quartet.
four in Faithful and the Fallen, and I mean, if you have not read the Faithful and the Fallen, which Jesse hasn't, I mean, it's amazing. Like
I've
honestly, I've
not
been
yet.
talking with Joseph about it because he's almost done with book 3, and I think I put which it's going to be on here too. Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy. I think I put it just above this series, and I think after like rethinking about it, I think I want to switch them. This series is just so good, man. The characters are
Mm,
so like memorable. But anyway, I
yeah.
mean, John, I have nothing but good things to say about young John. So I'm hyped and hope
Yeah.
this series comes out, or hope this additional like book to the series comes out next year.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward
anyway,
to it as well.
the next thing that I'm hyped for, honestly, more for you because I think this dude is gonna be like game changing for you. So the Wheel of Time is obviously like seen as like I know certain people have it as their number one, and I've
Mm-hmm.
only read the first 6 book or 5 books, no 6 books,
Mm-hmm.
and so and then I stopped just to give like viewers like reference. So Jesse has not read this series. I started reading this series probably last year. I want to say 2022, and was just slowly like cranking them out. And then once Jesse and I started to do this book channel, I was like, I don't want to get too far ahead because this is something that is so in depth that I want us to like be able to enjoy some of it together. So
Yeah.
I've heard the ending's phenomenal. Obviously, there are books that like slow down, but the plan right now is for us to like slowly conquer this all next year.
Yep.
There are, I think, 15 books if you include the New Spring, which is like book 0.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and then obviously Sanderson finishes this series. So,
Right.
anyway, but this is, dude, I really think like this could end up being like, I think you might end up liking this more than the Cosmere. There's like a chance because,
I
dude, the
mean,
world
I
building in
don't doubt
this
you.
is
Yeah.
wild. Like, it's almost so in depth to where it turns certain people off. But, um, I mean, I've read the first 6 books, like I said, and I've loved every second of it. So I'm hyped for us to get on this, and I'm hyped for you to understand things
Now, I
after
will
book 1 that I
say,
didn't understand 6 books in. So
we'll see. I'm looking forward to it as well. I will say though, man, I'm seeing a few 4-star reviews in here for books 1, 3, and 4.
dude,
I
I
don't
need to
know.
go
I don't
back
know
and
if you've ever given a full like actual Cosmere book, one of the main 4, anything but a 5.
yeah, it is different. It's not and that's what's tough, and we'll have to break this down another time because it's just I have so many thoughts on it. This was also at a different time in my rating stage to where
Yeah,
I just don't understand how to rate on Goodreads, and that's a whole nother
yeah. I
video
mean,
too.
it's
Like
tough.
I
The
just
5-star system's
because
tough.
this the Eye of the World is probably a 5. Like if I were to go back, I'd probably give this a 5. It's just I think I was only giving like again was like one of the first books like that I've read like when I was getting back into reading. Um
Right.
so like I got the first 3 for
That's fair.
Christmas and like quickly
It,
read them. So
yeah.
I
I
was
know that if
unsure.
I went back and reread some of the books I read in 2020 when I started reading heavily, I would rate some of them higher and some of them much lower because I just
Yeah,
was just getting back in. So it's hard to gauge when you don't have a lot, to base it on. So that's
I'm
fair.
curious.
I just thought I'd call you out, bro,
No, yeah, that is
for
interesting.
your
I was saw
BS.
that too. I'm
You're
because
fake,
it's
bro.
more just the
Honestly.
series itself. Yeah, I'm trying to defend my take, and I don't even know where to start. But I mean, it's definitely like up there, dude. It's just we'll
Yeah.
just have to wait and see.
I
Um,
will say for some reason I don't even know why, but for some reason I think you're probably right, and it kind of makes me sad but also excited. I think there's a good possibility I end up liking this more than
there's going to be
Stormlight.
at
It
least
just
some
depends.
ways that you like it more. Maybe not
Right.
as a whole, but there's going to be certain things that you're going to be like, man, I love because it's almost like the reasons why you like Tolkien with like how in depth he goes into things that theoretically don't matter to like the plot
Right.
line. It's just so
Right.
cool to like have that kind of like lore. I mean,
Yeah.
he is. You can tell like Tolkien was just. I mean, most of these people were inspired by Tolkien, but anyway,
Yeah.
you can tell where Jordan just really was inspired by him.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
hype.
the next thing I'm ready for is the Age of Madness. So this is a full trilogy that's already out from Joe Abercrombie. So I have already read. This is the series that comes after First Law. So same world. I can't remember how many years it is afterwards, but anyway, I've read all the First Law and then all the standalones afterwards. I I have a feeling we'll probably, depending on like what the schedule's looking like, we'll probably end up rereading First Law because Jesse has sadly not read it yet. So I'm interested to
Yeah.
see what you think about that. But
Yeah.
anyway, this is just a series I've had these books for so long and just keep putting them off just because of us reading other things. So I'm hyped to read this trilogy because I've heard like multiple people say that it's like First Law is like really up there in my top 10, and
Yeah.
I've heard it only gets better with the Age of Madness. So anyway, I'm
Looking
excited
forward
to
to it.
get into Young Joe, and I'm excited for you to taste some Joe too, because there's just certain things that he
Yeah.
does too that are very like his character work is insane.
I
So
definitely cannot wait to taste Joe.
yeah. Another thing sci-fi wise that I've been wanting to read for a long time, and I was actually just watching one
Yeah.
of Tom Orange's videos, and he was talking about how I don't know if he finished it this year, like started and finished it this year, but um, he was talking about how I guess the last 3 books of The Expanse are like insane. So I've
Mhm.
heard the first couple books are good, like maybe the first one, and then it kind of dips a little bit. And I guess there's some poorly rated books, like I can't remember which ones, but um, anyway, because I want to say like there's a lot of books. I think 9. There's 9. Leviathan Falls
Good lord.
came out 2021.
I mean, there's a
Um,
9.5 right there. Little novella came out last
oh
year.
yeah.
That's a
So
lot.
they've been coming out with little deals, but anyway, I've heard that this is just your classic sci-fi that's like
Yeah.
a space saga, and dude, like like slash space opera. And ever since Dune, man, I have yet to like have. I mean, we haven't read a ton of sci-fi, um, but I think I'm more into the space opera stuff. I think I'm less into
Yeah.
hard sci-fi is what I've realized. Like I like it, but as far as like what is like really my favorite and like what does it the most for me is more of the space opera stuff, the world building and the
Yeah.
character stuff, less of the themes. I mean, I like the themes and I can appreciate why people like those things. So like something like a what was that book we read?
Three body.
About the moons. Three body. Like I
Yeah.
can see how that's a good book. Like how it's a great book and like super
Right.
original, but like as far as just hitting for me, it didn't. And whereas I feel like
Yeah. It
this is
didn't do it
probably a
for you.
good combination of both of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was sad because I understood why like it does for other people. So anyway, I'm hyped to read some actual like science fiction next year. Um just to kind of have some like fresh takes, but this and then I'm kind of hyped, dude, for Star Wars to like get into some Star Wars. I didn't put
Yeah.
that on here,
I'm
but this kind of
excited,
just
man.
reminds me of that.
I'm
So,
excited
all right,
for you to read a little bit of that.
me too, because I think I mean you know so much more about it, and so I'm hyped to like be your Padawan, man, and just
Mm,
learn
my young
alongside you.
Padawan, my very
My
young
young
Padawan.
Padawan, the youngest of Padawans. Um, this last one, dude, is really gonna surprise you, and it kind of
uh,
surprised me. And I thought about it, and I wasn't gonna do it, and then
dude,
I'm like, you
is
know
it what I
what?
think it is? Is it the box set of this that I see in every single bookstore ever? The black box set,
What color is the print?
red.
It just might be.
Let's
Dude, I've
go.
heard so many good things about Berserk, and I know
Yeah.
I've only read, I mean, maybe 10. I think I read the first 10 volumes of One Piece, and it was okay to me. I've heard it gets way better. I know you, Jesse, are way more turned off to potentially reading manga, but I wanted to give it one last try, and I have yet, like, I've seen people who, like, I'm like, okay, I agree with like a lot of the things you think about books have all talked
Hmm.
about how good this is, and it's only 42 volumes. So like when I say I read 10 volumes of One Piece, I mean that was like 3 days of reading because I mean
Okay,
obviously it's
gotcha.
pictures. So
Yeah,
it takes I mean we could crank this out so fast. Um
yeah.
and then
Just all
obviously
them
there's an anime that
pictures,
goes
man.
with it that was made in the 90s. All them pictures, bro. But I've heard it's great. You know, it's one of those horror like dark um you know mangas. So I've it seems like everything that I would like. Um, so if we're gonna give manga a try, I feel like this is a good place to start because it's not like a One Piece where it's like, all right, there's three
Yeah,
thousand volumes or whatever it is that we would have to catch up on. It's 42. We could do this in a month, like, and so anyway, I think it'd give us a good like, hey, is this for us? And maybe it's not, but this seems to be I mean, 4.48 with over 40,000 reviews.
yeah. I mean, those are solid
And
numbers.
again, like Mike, Daniel Green, Tom Orange, I mean, like all the guys that we watch all have like nothing but great things to say about this. So anyway, this might be our first year we dip into some content that we normally wouldn't dip into. So
We shall see.
anyway, that
Well, sick.
we'll have to take a poll on it. So anyway, but I'm excited, dude, for next year. I think we have a lot of stuff coming
Me
up,
too.
and then we do have obviously we have some other stuff coming up that we haven't really mentioned too. This is more just like big series stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. This definitely gets me excited. It makes me realize like how many books we want to read, and the list just starts stacking up, and the room for more books next year so slowly dwindles the more we talk about it. But I'm really excited, man. All
yeah,
these books have got me hype. So yeah, if you're still watching this, go ahead and drop a comment and let us know what books you're looking forward to. And if you've read any of the books that we're looking forward to, let us know what you think about them. Stick around, subscribe, comment, like, hit that bell thing if you want. And we'll see you on the next one. It's Lit Book Reviews out.
bye.